Now, this is a story all about how my life got flip turned upside down. And it all started when I was 23 years old. It's either 23 or 24. I can't remember the exact age, but let's call it 23. Because at age 23, I left my full time job that was paying me a really healthy salary in sales, 70K a year I was earning, to go and start my own business. Because I thought that there was greener grass on the other side. Maybe if I become an entrepreneur, I'll be able to travel the world and see a load of things and live this amazing dream lifestyle, as you all do when you're young. The business did really, really well initially. I hired a successful business coach and he helped coach me to a point where I was making £5,000 a month within 3 months. The sky was the limit for me. I had so much energy, I had so much excitement, so much potential. I had just moved in with my girlfriend and we were living together in my hometown. And I was really, really looking forward to the next stage of life. Fast forward 12 months though, and a lot happened in that time. The market became saturated, as always does in business. I was specifically working in the social media marketing industry. I had my own social media marketing agency. And this market has low barriers to entry, which means that people can join at any time. Anyone can start a business like that. And then the market becomes saturated. And the techniques I was using that had got me those first few clients weren't necessarily working anymore. So my bank account slowly started to dwindle. It slowly started to go down and down and down because I was trying to maintain my quality of life. I was still paying the rent, still paying the bills. I was still trying to go on vacations when I could, still trying to enjoy life, as well as flooding money into the business and into ads and other things. This starts to get stressful. This starts to get stressful real quick. And that stress pervades into other areas of your life. So not only was I feeling the stress, but my girlfriend would also feel it from me. I wouldn't be able to give her enough time. We weren't as intimate as we used to be. There was just a lot of knock-on effects of things that start to get really frustrating. And what culminated was we got into this argument about a party holiday that I wanted to go on. So I'm young. I want to go spring break with my boys. We were going to go to Cancun in Mexico, and we did end up going. But before going, my girlfriend started this whole argument saying, how can you go on a party holiday? Party holidays are only for single guys and this type of stuff. And she said, well, that's fine. If you want to do that, then I'm going to go on my own party holiday. And she did that. She went to Greece. But she came back from that holiday completely changed, completely different to how she had been in the past. She actually came back and she mentioned that she was considering a breakup. And I was lost at this time. I didn't have a really good understanding of relationship dynamics. Obviously, as I'm a bit older and I've had a lot more experience, I understand now what really she meant and obviously what happens on these party holidays, as we know. So I would know, looking at that situation, that it is time to break up. If she says that she thinks we should break up, we should break up. But in my naivety, I tried to convince her to stay. And this just exacerbated things, this just made things worse. Because what happened next, our relationship broke down over the next few months, completely broke down. It got to a point where we were actually on vacation I want to say we were in Los Angeles on vacation, and we didn't speak to each other for like 2 whole days. We were just just us two on a couples trip. And we didn't speak to each other for 2 whole days, went our separate ways around the city because everything was just breaking down. There was no longer any of that intimacy, any of that love. All of that had completely gone from the relationship. As such, we should have broken up back when it was initially instigated. At the same time, my business was continuing to go backwards. I'd lost all of my clients at this point. They weren't happy with how I was performing as a business, how I was catering for their services, wasn't generating them enough business, enough leads. So I lost all my clients. So I'm really starting to struggle here, both mentally and physically, materially in the real world. So it got to a point where I've broken up with my girlfriend because things just weren't going the way that they needed to. We broke up. I could no longer afford to pay rent. And I had to move back in with my mum. And this was me now, 24, 25, your mid 20s, where you're thinking about going out into the world and potentially looking at maybe owning your own place. I was going backwards. I was saying I'm going to have to move back in with my mum because my bank account had shrunk so much. I only had about £100 left to my name in my account, less than £100. I specifically remember going to the ATM, to the cash machine, and there was like £79 and 12 pence in there or something like that. And that's all I had to my name. That is all I had to my name. Nothing else. No assets, nothing like that. So what did I do? What did I do? What would you do in this situation, right? You've lost your girlfriend, you've lost your money, you've lost your business, you don't have a job, you're living with your mum. I continued to live life as normal. Every day, I read books on the mind and spirituality. Some of my favorite books of all time came during this phase of my life. Think and Grow Rich, Way of Superior Man, the Kybalion. I've got tattoos from quotes from the Kybalion on my body because that book did so much for my life. It completely directed my focus on what's important in life, which is the mind, which is your connection with spirituality, your connection with the all. That was the main thing that I needed to focus on during that period. And I continued to live my life. I worked on my business, tried to get it up and running as best I could. I went to the gym every single day. I got in the best shape of my life. I'll show you a photo in a moment. Probably the best shape that I've ever actually looked was during this phase. Started dating new women. At the time I split with my girlfriend, I was in this place where I thought I'd lost everything and I was never going to be able to meet a woman like her ever again. But you date, you go outside. What else can you do? When all your ships are burnt, you have no choice but to march forwards. So I continued to get into the market and date new women. And I met so many amazing women during this time. And I was even doing regular public speaking engagements. I continued to go on stage and talk and give talks about business and about life and about spirituality and about mind. And I spoke at different universities and things like this. I just continued to live as normal because what else can I do? My advice is still good advice, even if I'm struggling. My advice is still good advice, even if I'm struggling. Someone will value from it. So I continued to grind and do what I needed to do. And eventually, a recruitment agency actually reached out to me with a six-figure tech sales role, which I took, of course, as you would in that situation. So my financial situation was then completely resolved. And I was only really in this period of struggle for about 3 to 6 months in the grand scheme of things. And I came out of it looking like that. So that's a picture that I screenshotted from my Instagram. I had to go back to my old Instagram stories that I took in the gym around this time, where I was 85 kilos, probably the best shape I've looked in my life. I'm probably in better shape in that image than most people have been in their entire lives. Like most people will never touch that level of aesthetics. And this was during the hardest time in my life that I can think of. In my adult life, this was my hardest time. And this is how I dealt with it. I just marched forwards. I don't have any choice but to march forwards. So that was me at 85 kilos. This is not a fitness video, but I will do one on how my body transformation has looked. That will be something that I will share in the future. But that was one of the proudest I've been with my aesthetics. And I was just every day in the gym, lifting heavy. I was on the protein. I was on creatine. I was eating 2,500 calories a day. I kept on top of all of that. Because why wouldn't I? And these are some learnings that I took from that phase that I still apply to my life to this day, and that you can apply to your own life. And these are not from the books that I read. I do separate videos on the books that I read. These are specifically what I learned, my experience. Every single thing can be taken from you in a moment. Everything. Your loved ones, your money, your health, it can all go like that. This happens in life. This stuff happens. You never truly have anything. I'm going to completely butcher this quote. It might be a Scarface quote. I've never seen the movie, but it's a quote that says, all I have in this life is my word and my balls. Honestly, that just epitomizes it. You don't have anything in this life. Nothing belongs to you. You never truly have anything. So it can all be taken away. And you need to know how to respond to that. Most businesses fail. You have to try and try again. Most relationships fail. You have to try and try again. It's life. Life is not about this one, you do this thing once and it works. Sometimes you hear those stories and those do happen for some people. But for the majority of us, we're going to have to try and try again and again and again and again. It may fail 18 times, but you have to keep trying. That's not an excuse. It failing is not an excuse for you to stop trying. You only truly fail when you quit. The game is only truly over when you stop playing. And there are actually some times when you should quit. You should always have an exit plan. You should always have a plan B. The context here that a lot of other people won't tell you is that I already had a good CV when I quit my full-time role. I wasn't working at a bad place. I'm not going to name a place because you might work there. But I wasn't working at a company where I wouldn't be able to get another job. I always knew I could get another job. That was why me having the money in my bank account that I did at that time wasn't that big of a deal. And I could kind of continue to live with life because, worst case scenario, a recruiter reached out to me and offered me a six-figure tech sales job. Granted, that only happened because of where my belief system was and the fact that I was walking in my spirituality and believing that it would happen. But at the same time, I built the foundations for that to happen in my life from way before. So I always had a plan B. I always have a plan B in life. I never just go all in on something with no plan B. I don't think that's a wise strategy. Money comes and goes. Women come and go. Again, this is a rap lyric I heard somewhere. I don't know where I heard it, but this is actually something that I genuinely believe from this point in my life. Relationships fail, businesses fail. There's always going to be opportunities for new things to work. Just don't dwell on the things that fail. Continue to march forwards. Do not sacrifice your own life and well-being at the expense of others. I tried to convince my girlfriend at the time to stay because I wanted to put her before anything else in my life, even though I was stressed and struggling. I said, let me keep her and make sure that she's kept looked after and all this. The reality is you need to take care of yourself first. As soon as someone says they want to leave your life and they're going to cause you stress, let it go. Let it go. You need to take care of yourself before anything else. Things are never really that bad. They're only as bad as you perceive them. Even rock bottom isn't that bad. Even rock bottom isn't that bad. There's 10 million stories way worse than the one that I've just told you. And a lot of people watching this will think I've never been in the situation that was as bad as the one that I'm describing. But that was probably my rock bottom. It wasn't that bad, if I'm being brutally honest. Like, there's so many worse things that could have happened. And it was just another day. All of these things were just another day in life. Things only are bad when you perceive them to be bad. You could be in jail right now serving life. And if you continue to just perceive that this is where I am, I'm living in the now moment right now. Today, I'm going to read a book, or I'm going to do some press ups, or I'm going to eat at some point during the day. That's all you can do. You have to understand that perception of the world that you're in and embrace the reality that you're in. Anybody can make their life look bad. You can have rich, famous people who are some of the most depressed people in the world. They can believe their way to believing that life is bad. And everybody's going to argue with me and say, no, but some people's lives are bad. Bad is subjective. Bad is always subjective 100% of the time.